Thank you, guys. That were amazing pitches, great ideas. It was exciting to watch you. Now I want to welcome on stage our next panelists that are going to speak about two very, very exciting topics. We're gonna wait until everyone comes into the room because we have like a super hot topic, and I guess a lot of people want to come in and listen to it. So on stage, we will have four panelists that will speak about building DeFi protocols and DAOs. So guys, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's great to see that it will be a full house. My name is Magnus Jones. I am the Nordic blockchain and innovation lead at EY, Ernst & Young, been in this space since 2015 and working with, among others, DeFi players and also DAOs, DAO foundations, and that whole ecosystem. We have a great set of panelists here, but just before we start the introduction round, it would be interesting to hear about you guys. How many here knows what DeFi is, actually? Some hands. And then on the DAO side, how many has a fair overview of that? Not that many. And again, down to how many has played with DeFi solutions, who has actually used DeFi? Yeah, good. And how many is building in here, in this room, building DeFi solutions? Yeah, cool. I think we have a good audience. Yeah, there as well. And how many is a member of a DAO? Who has a governance token? Yeah, there's one on the first row, two. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. No, so I think in general it's a good mix here. So just to also get things started, I think we will go and take it pretty easy. Try to give the high-level perspective, give an overview of what DeFi and DAO is also. But first of all, we have Jason Payne here from Schnoodle. Then we have Jonathan Emmanuel from Zenith chain. And then we have, sorry for the pronunciation, but Yevheniia, Broshevan from Hacken. Oh, you feel free to adjust it. So guys, please make an introduction to yourself, what you do.
Yeah. Sure, so I'm the founder and CTO of Schnoodle DAO, which was launched in July last year. My background is I'm British, I'm a software developer, so I created Schnoodle, which some of you may recognize as being a dog breed. So we created in July as a meme token based on the dog meme craze at the time, but we're not a meme token. And so my background is banking and software, so I've worked in investment banking most of my time. I think I'm going to talk a bit more about the project shortly. So one thing I will say is Schnoodle is probably like Carlsberg say, they are probably the best lager in the world. Schnoodle is probably the only DAO in existence, and I'll explain more about that very shortly. Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Monroe. I'm the CEO and founder of Zenith Chain UAB. I'm from Nigeria, but currently based in Dublin, Ireland. My background is I'm a full stack developer. I code in Python, PHP, and JavaScript. And for Zenith Chain is a blockchain company. We are based in Vilnius, Lithuania. We offer two products in general. We have a blockchain, which is an EVM hybrid blockchain that supports smart contracts, NFTs, and DeFi in general. We also have a centralized exchange. The purpose of the centralized exchange is to bring together the CeFi part of crypto and the DeFi part of crypto under one roof. So for the centralized part, we offer the sports trading and everything you can see on a centralized exchange. And then on the DeFi part, we support decentralized exchange, NFT marketplace, a decentralized app browser. In plain terms, it's just a gateway for you to use the app to interact with all Web3 applications.
Hey everyone, my name is Yevheniia. I'm co-founder of Hacken. We're a smart contract auditor. Last 10 years I'm in cybersecurity and 8 years in crypto. Seen a lot, seen some winters. And yeah, we're helping different crypto exchanges, crypto wallets, DeFi's, L1 protocols to prevent hacks and find vulnerabilities before bad guys exploit them. We've been doing this for 5 years, originally from Ukraine, now based in Lisbon, and actively growing our team. Thank you.
Good stuff. I see you have supporters there. That's great. No, so just as a start to the ones that are not deep in this one, as we're talking about DeFi, decentralized finance, which is, you can think about it as traditional financial services such as borrowing, lending, derivatives, synthetics, whatever, only that you use cryptocurrencies as the transfer elements of value. And that can also include NFTs for that part, sort of thing. And Jason, maybe you can give us an explanation of a DAO. What is it actually?
Yeah, so a DAO, as many of you probably know, it stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And in our white paper, if you read it, we talk about the Dow problem. Many of you may have heard of the Oracle problem, but we came up with the concept of the Dow problem. And that is, most DAOs are not actually DAOs. In fact, I've never come across a DAO in my life, because the A in DAO means autonomous, and most DAOs require, well, DAOs in principle require that the governance aspect is manually implemented. So usually if the DAO uses snapshots, for example, for the voting, for the governance, then the team will manually fulfill the change to whatever the governance people voted on. And that could be a change to the contract, an interaction with the smart contract, an upgrade to the smart contract, etc. Anything to do with the project. And that's principally how DAOs traditionally work. But manual intervention by a person or a team is not autonomous. So really, they're just decentralized organizations, not autonomous, not in the way I see autonomy. So when I built Schnoodle, I wanted to build a true DAO. Yes, I used a meme coin as a backdrop. That was really because of the dog craze that was going on, dog meme craze. So that was just to capitalize on the sort of sentiment of the market at the time. But I wanted to build the most high-tech DAO in existence. And that basically means that I, as the founder, am not really an owner. I have some tokens. It was a fair launch, but I'm just a community member. And that's what I say to all of our community. We've got one on the front row there, Poppeteer. We've got a couple of team members over there. I think there's another holder in here. We're just community members. That's how we peddle ourselves. We're just community members, and that's how a DAO should be. Everything's public, even the team chats on Discord. When we talk about our backlog tasks, anyone can contribute. So I built the protocol. I wrote all the Solidity code for the protocol, 100% of the code, every single line. And I wrote it to be absolutely secure, no copy-paste of any other tokens. If you compare the code in Schnoodle to other tokens, it's much more minimalistic, but it does a lot more, because I'm using Open Zeppelin contracts as the base to do all the heavy lifting. Why reinvent the wheel? A DAO should be about the business logic, about what you're trying to achieve, and that's why the Schnoodle code, when you look at it, is virtually 100% business logic. What are we trying to achieve? And we use an ecosystem of contracts, and this will probably help you understand what a DAO should really do. So we use Gnosis Safe for governance. We have a smart contract called Schnoodle Governance, which is a time lock, and that has a 24-hour time lock on it. So any change to the contract, which is owned by the token contract, which is Schnoodle, which is owned by the governance contract, can only happen after 24 hours. So any upgrades, it's an upgradable contract using the transparent proxy pattern. It's an ERC 777 for people who know that. It's not ERC 20. It's voted on by the community through Snapshot. That's upgrades, contract interactions. We then use something called the Zodiac reality module, which is a DAO module. It used to be called the Safe Snap DAO module, but what it does is it's an oracle, and any votes that are voted on chain, off-chain through Snapshot, because as many of you know, Snapshot is off-chain voting to save on gas. It's executed on-chain through the Zodiac reality module execution. So that's on-chain, and it's a simple economic game theory. So how do you get off-chain votes on-chain? Using an oracle, using simple economic game theory. I can go into more detail on that later if you have any questions on it, but at the simplest level, it's someone puts a bond, if they're lying about what the change was, what the outcome of the vote was, someone can double up their bond. If they are still lying, you can double up again, so it can go 1 ETH, 2 ETH, 4 ETH, 8 ETH, and so on. And the person, the people, is that sign to stop? The people who are lying will not get their bond back. We've never had anyone lie about the outcome because it's pretty stupid to lie about the outcome of a vote, but the whole point of it is to protect the community. That's the idea. If anyone lies, they're just throwing their ETH away anyway. So, that's why we built the DAO the way we wanted to build it, the way we built it, because we wanted to be a true DAO. And our tagline on our banners is true progressive DAO. We're progressive, it's true DAO, probably the only true DAO in existence. And I always say that if something is 100% decentralized, there's chaos. I don't know if any of you are a fan in here of Jordan Peterson, but he often says that put a group of people together, you'll find natural order. People will look to leadership, right? So even a completely decentralized paradigm, you'll still find people look towards leaders. And as it happens, the community tend to look to the team that founded Schnoodle as the leaders. It doesn't have to be us, but we wrote it, we know the code inside out, or I do. The team knows the project inside out. So we naturally, even though we say we're just members of the community, they look to us for guidance. And that resulted in me coming up with my favorite saying, which is decentralization is a parity between the trusted and trustlessness. So you can't have true decentralization and absolute trustlessness. It's a parity between those who are trusted and trustlessness. And that means trust is a part of it. So crypto is about people. So when we talk about DAOs, we're not just talking about the code and the protocol and what's off-chain and what's on-chain. We're talking about the people that make it up, the community. And Schnoodle has a great community, and I've met so many great people here today as well, and I'm hoping that they will become part of our community, and you could join a solid community. But also a big part of it, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I move on to Jonathan, because he's got some great things to say. I've been talking to him for 2 days. Is that you know, the people really make a DAO what it is, and without the people, you have nothing. So thank you for listening. I'll pass over to Jonathan.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jonathan. Tell us a bit about your things that you're working on.
All right. So basically, we're working on the DeFi part of crypto more. Like I said before, we have a hybrid chain. What we aim to accomplish with that blockchain is to be able to serve the communities that have been forgotten by other big players. You understand? And with our blockchain, we are able to cut down the gas fee on other, like the gas fee on other blockchain. We've been able to cut that down on our own blockchain, and we brought it down to about 1 gigawatt when there's low activity on the blockchain, and when the peak is high, it's around 10 gigawatt at most, so which is far less than a cent. And a single block on our blockchain can process up to about 15,000 transactions in a second, and the confirmation takes about 3 seconds. So for the exchange, when I talk about a gateway to Web3, what I mean is for our exchange, what we've done is bring in the centralized part of crypto and the decentralized part of crypto under one app, under one domain. So if the DeFi in general, you understand, let's say about 10 years, 15 years ago, when you talk about finance, when you talk about transactions, it has to be carried out by the big players. You know, if you want to create a bank, if you want to create a financial system, you have to have 10, professor, board of directors, and all of that. But now with DeFi, we are able, as normal people, we're able to perform transactions ourselves, cutting out the middleman and all of that. So with our exchange, we've been able to provide, on the DeFi part, we've been able to provide a decentralized app browser, and that decentralized app browser aims to connect with hundreds of Web3 applications. So with a single tap on a app or the website, with a single tap, you swap into the decentralized part, and you can interact with hundreds of applications. We actually have a lot of interesting products that are currently being built on the blockchain and currently migrating to this exchange. And again, the interesting part about this exchange is it's multi-chain. The exchange itself is multi-chain, and also our own blockchain is interoperable. So it communicates with other blockchains, communicates with Polygon, Avalanche, all EVM chains that you can think of. It communicates with it. And with the exchange, you tend to interact with different applications, like an application that's currently being built on our exchange, which is a move to earn and a play to earn token. So you having to use the exchange, while trading your normal tokens on the spot side, while using the exchange, you also tend to earn those tokens, while using the exchange. It's just a play to earn and move to earn token. And also for the blockchain, the interesting part also about the blockchain is the speed. Like I said, a block confirmation takes around 3 seconds at most to confirm, and I think that's basically it.
It's very, very interesting to hear. And when you're talking about sort of building the DeFi and DAO ecosystem today, we also clearly see that we are very early right now. We should take that into consideration, so where we are in terms of size of markets, whatever. DeFi market in general is 4.8 million wallets, i.e. not even around 4 million users. And if we look into NFT markets, it's like 1 million users out there globally. Maybe core community to 300,000 people only. So we need to put things into perspective here also in terms of where it is, and that we have also seen, of course, very fast growth in DeFi in general, where you can get 6 to 60% interest of your returns if you take high risk. And of course that attracts people to do both frauds, rug pulls, whatever we see, and we see of course lots of attention in the market is of course relating to that one, because where there's fast money there will always be someone that will trick you, regardless of its blockchain, crypto, whatever it might be. So I think an important element to also see this landscape is, like you guys have been focusing on security elements, building the trust there also. So it would be very interesting to hear a bit more from your side also in terms of actually the smart contract review, as far as we see it as a very important element of sort of excluding quick fix code and fat fingers, but actually knowing what is the executing code out there.
Definitely, with this hyper growth, everyone tend to forget about security and think about that once something happens. And with building DeFi, definitely there is risks of being hacked. And as far as a project owner, you take the responsibility of someone's money. It's important to do everything possible to prevent actually future hacks, and the responsibility you have and like users, investors, and other guys. And what we do at Hacken, we help companies on the different layers to protect their products, starting from smart contracts, different EVM or Rust-based chains. Also what we do different penetration testing for crypto exchanges and crypto wallets. And the next step usually is bug bounty, when we attract ethical hackers to help companies to find vulnerabilities. So literally utilizing crowdsourced power to spot vulnerabilities, because you can have a lot of consultants, but still you need more eyes, different mindsets, approaches to find vulnerabilities. And that's usually the third step to address security risks. And usually the last one should be insurance, because if you've done everything possible inside and something happens, you should have insurance in place in order to cover the losses that you might have. And what we see from auditing around 50 crypto exchanges, including the major one like FTX, Huobi, Gate.io, and a lot of others, that still there is so many trivial vulnerabilities. Like typical one is with race conditions, when there is wrong logic behind the transactions, and you can just mine crypto because of some different specific of that. Or, for example, if you know the email of the user, you can easily reset password and brute force code and get access to exchange account there. Or the most interesting part, which is also GDPR involvement, where you can get access to KYC data. That's what we see from different exchanges, that they might have KYC done by themselves, and it's easy with all this uploading documents, making photos, to get access to that, and then get access to all the passports that you might submit to crypto exchange. So before selecting the crypto exchange, make sure you check the security of that and see what they do. One of our spin-off projects, we actually gather all this data about security of different DeFi protocols and crypto exchanges. It's called CR.live. And what we do, we gather proof of their security engagements like penetration testing, bug bounty, ISO, insurance, and a lot of other stuff. And it's also part of CoinGecko Trust Score, for example, for crypto exchanges. So you can easily go to CoinGecko and change the security tab of crypto project to see what they do in terms of security. And yeah, make your decision whether you want to go with this product or no. Yeah, and definitely there's a lot of problems on the operation side, because as you mentioned, we're all people and crypto is about people. And the typical bug we see that someone like Discord different rights to Discord, and some keys are public or to Slack. So yeah, there is a lot of risk associated not only with the product side, but also with people. And you need to be sure that you do security awareness trainings within your employees and they understand what risks you have.
Yeah, I think that's very important to take into the whole considerations how we can grow this landscape, so we don't end up by sort of being in a category of only fraudster and rug pulls in terms of the DeFi projects that is having a value token element in some way. And it's also a difference between sort of saying building a DAO as a core community without a token element that gives you a coin that is volatile compared to just doing that part. So in that matter also, you mentioned also the KYC part here, you know, both in DeFi and also on the DAO side, that has sort of been known towards being the anonymous part of crypto where you can make sort of fast money, towards also doing your swaps without identifying yourself, being there, being anonymous. But how do you guys see that part coming up now in terms of, you know, as the market grows, we will see more and more VC investors and all of these coming in. How do you see sort of the need there in terms of, you know, the market, core market out there is not necessarily right now willing to identify themselves, but do you foresee that that will come up in sort of the years to come, and your perspective around that one, that will be a key element, or do you believe that you will still run a DAO in a totally, call it, anonymous way?
Well, cryptocurrency doesn't mean anonymity. That's the first thing. That's a fallacy if anyone thinks that. You can be as public as you want. And one of the things that I promoted and advocated as part of the DAO I created, Schnoodle, is that we're fully doxed. The team has nothing to hide. We are open and transparent in everything. And that's I had a bit of a brain fart earlier because I was going to say something before I passed over to Jonathan, and I realised what it was now, and that's openness and transparency. You've got it in a DAO. You know, if you've got nothing to hide, or you're not doing anything dodgy, then you should be open and transparent. Obviously, you want to be secure. Privacy and security are not the same thing either. So privacy, personally, I think unless you're doing something dodgy, why be private? But you should be secure. And I made a mistake with Schnoodle, and I'm not afraid to say it because it's public information. But I built a DAO that protected it from me. So if someone could come into my house and put a gun to my head and take all the holders' money, I literally couldn't. There's nothing I could do. I can't rug my own project. I don't have the keys to any part of the project. And like I explained earlier, it's fully autonomous. Upgrades are done through the DAO module, the Zodiac reality module that I explained earlier. But this is why I'm interested in Yev's security audit, because a service Hacken offers is of course security audits. Certic also do it. Other organisations, there's also bug bounty schemes, which your organisation does, right? And the one thing I didn't protect Schnoodle from even though I protected it from me and the team and its own holders, its own community, I missed one thing. I missed stupidity, me being stupid. So I can be stupid, I'm not infallible, and that's why crypto is about people, because people are not perfect and we can make mistakes. And like I said earlier, I wrote 100% of the code. That made me a single point of failure. I wrote unit tests. Who knows what unit tests are? Yeah? Okay. You should write unit tests around every part of your code, ideally, right? I wrote an override on an Open Zeppelin base contract that was just a single line of code. And I thought, that doesn't need to be unit tested. Damn right it should have been. It should have been unit tested. It's only one line of code. My mistake was virtually a typo. And last week, we released to BNB Smart Chain, and we upgraded the contract, and within 30 minutes, some bot on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain, because we upgraded the contract on both chains, BNB Smart Chain and Ethereum, found a vulnerability and drained the liquidity. We made it back. We got it back. We did some clever trickery within the community. We got the community together. We made our treasury money back, our liquidity money back, and we're relaunching on Polygon next month. But we've come up with several sets of protocols that we're going to do before that, as in off-chain protocols, bug bounties programs, peer reviews through the community, through other Solidity developers, 100% unit test coverage, and other different various types of checks. And you can't expect yourself to be infallible, even if you think you're the best programmer in the world. I don't, by the way. A lot of people say that I am, like I'm the next Andre Cronje, or I am Satoshi. I'm joking, but some people have joked about that. But I say no, I make mistakes, and this was the first mistake I made in 1 year since we were launched, and we've learned from it. The community are very strong, and that's what you need in a DAO. You need a strong community, and the way you get that is through being completely open and honest, transparent, tell everything as soon as possible, and be doxed. Look at Luna. Do Kwon, we all know that story, right?
I think you can just briefly explain it high level to some
Yeah.
here if they're not updated, but I think the
Sure.
majority here knows it. By the
Majority.
hard way also,
So
maybe.
$13 billion wiped off the face of the earth. Well, someone else got it, basically, within a few days. I personally lost a six-figure sum from it, from my own investors, from my own investment, but they didn't communicate. Do Kwon sent a tweet every now and again. Terra Labs sent a tweet every now and again. People were losing their life savings, and they were losing faith in the project. They were stressing. There were suicides. I think 20-something people committed suicide over the loss of this money. This is why DAOs are about people. Terra Labs and Luna is not a DAO, but it's a cryptocurrency. It's still about people. So I made sure when we lost this money, I communicated immediately. I was at a wedding that day. I released, and then I went to a wedding where I had 2 hours sleep in between. And all the way to the wedding, I was communicating with the community. I did a video update whilst I was at the wedding, telling my community, I'm distraught, I'll figure this out, and I did, thankfully. But, you can't be that guy. You can't be the guy that leaves your community stranded. What he's done now, he's released Luna 2. What's happened? No one trusts it. It falls flat on its face. It's got no USP. UST is removed from the core, so it hasn't even got a USP. But if people believed in him and trusted him, then people might have invested in Terra 2. But he totally left people in muddy water, and that's not how to run a DAO.
Definitely that you learned this lesson, and you were able actually to get some funds back. And in your next journey, you'll definitely do something in the other way, and it's good because security usually it's something that you think at the last, before deploying the contract. Oh, I need audit. Okay, let's go to someone else. But definitely it's not a good way to do security, and you should think about that before you're even starting doing architecture, because security should be a part of of your development life cycle. And writing documentation, unit tests, that's something that we usually discuss a lot with clients. And they, of course, they are in rush in this hyper growth and they don't have time for unit tests. And these small lines of code, yeah, we just changed a bit, open Zeppelin. That's usually what we hear. And yeah, definitely like improving the quality of the products, of the coding or architecture helps having unit tests, documentation, and properly what you're going to do. Because sometimes your projects mentioned on the website or white paper, they do one stuff. In fact, we see different functions in the smart contracts. And that's a problem because for usual user, they don't understand what's going on in the contract. They invest money there and then it's gone. And what we see for like KYC stuff, that for last 6 months, I guess it's more doxed teams rather than not, because the last autumn it was like, oh my God, so many anonymous companies, just Proton mail, emails and all that, and you never know who is behind. But still they were able to somehow get money. And what's happened next, that's another question. But yeah, it's good that it's on the right way, and we see more regulation that needs security, and they ask for security for venture funds, crypto exchanges, ideal platforms. They all ask for audits, and it's one step towards secure Web3.
Yeah. And I think that's also important if you are to build within this landscape, that actually set up enough funds to actually execute the smart contract testing, but also have the time to get hold of them. Because like we know, it's not easy to get someone who is available in a week notice to get a smart contract review. You have to wait 6, 12 months plus to get someone who actually knows it. So that's also a part that you need to definitely include in your project. And also for the matter of point of view that we have clearly seen from doing also smart contract testing that the contract of that project might not have any core exploits in it by itself, but if you combine it with another third and a fourth and a fifth product, you often have sort of people who has done a code within DeFi who has not a financial background, but they know blockchain or cryptos, while someone who knows the mechanism of finance clearly see if I just connect this one with this one and then go then I can drain the whole of your project without having an exploit in the code. So that's also part of the ecosystem that is very important to understand what are you actually building in terms of the product that is more of an extension of the smart contract review per se of code errors also. So I think we have 10 minutes left-ish, and it seems like there's an audience which is skillful here also, so I believe we might have some questions. So maybe we should open up for questions from the audience. Any questions? Quiet gang? There's one.
Hi, Jason. My name is Walter.
My
question to you is, after your event, how do you build trust back in the community?
Just being completely open and honest. Like I said, I woke up, I went straight to my laptop. I released at 7 a.m. I'd stayed up all night, and I went to bed. I had to go to a wedding at 12 o'clock. So I had about 2, maybe 3 hours of sleep. I woke up very excited. I went to my laptop to look at Telegram to see the community talking about the release and well done, fantastic. Came to see people saying the token value is tanked. The liquidity has all gone from Uniswap. People saying, and the dev's gone to sleep. And because I was saying, I've got a wedding to go to. I've been up all night doing the release, testing it with the team. The team who are here today, they were all up all night with me as well. And but they trusted me already. They said, Neo, my nickname on the community, when he wakes up, he'll explain it all. It's all fine. Don't worry about it. So they already trusted me. Not a single person thought I'd rugged the project, right? So when I came online, I spent, someone even said, he was online 15 minutes ago, but he's not typed anything. I was like, yeah, that's because I'm fucking looking into it, okay? Right? So I was looking into it, screaming at Uniswap, no, what's going on? My wife's just like, we've got to go to the wedding. I took my laptop as a passenger, looking into it, and then I finally messaged, guys, I think we've lost our liquidity, you know? I was open about it. Not sure why. Maybe it's due to the protocol. Maybe if I roll back to the previous version, it'll be fine, but I don't know. And then someone pointed out a transaction where they could see a large amount of ETH just being sent to a Tornado Cash wallet. I was like, okay, we've lost liquidity. And I did a video update. I did a 30-minute video update. Do you remember, Popicher? I did a 30-minute update saying, with all my emotions on display, no editing, no cutting, just a 30-minute video of me being sorry about what happened. Not sorry as in apologetic, but sorry that this shit has happened. Like, and I'll fix it. I'll find a solution. And people believed in me. And you just have to be open and honest. And I found a solution. The next day, in fact, I found a solution. Do you want to know what the solution was? We're launching on Polygon next month. So we decided to put a position into Matic. And Matic, as some of you may know, rose around 70% in the last week. And that was enough to get nearly all of our lost liquidity back. But it was in collaboration with the community. I didn't unilaterally make that decision. We asked the community, we deliberated over it on Telegram, got lots of people's opinions. Some people were like, just go 50%. Some people were like, yeah, go all in. Degen move. We did. We're Dogcoin after all, right? But no, we're not anymore. But it was a calculated risk. It was a good risk in hindsight. It could have gone wrong, but we will not make that mistake again. Jonathan, can you slap my wrist? No, slap it, yeah. So I've been punished. But this is what DAOs are all about, and this is what strong community is about. If you join Schnoodle now, and you've probably seen stickers and flyers all over the place, even in the toilets, if you're a man, over the urinals, then yeah, please join, because we've learned from our mistakes. We have a plan of action, and we're going to put it together. We're relaunching on Polygon. We're putting in new protocols in place into the smart contract, and the future's bright. Thanks for your question, Walter.
I think it was great question, and good answer also in terms of that you need to take care of your community. That's the most important thing, because we have also several clients who were into to Terra Luna in some kind of different ways. We even had a couple of guys who was building a DEX who lost almost 80% of their funding in it, while immediately just responding to the community. They understand what's happening actually. So I think that's a very important element to take with you if you are to develop within this sphere, that this is not for sure the last time that something like this will happen, because it's a landscape that is under development. It's not finished developed. So these are instances that will occur. We will see more and more things coming up as the community in general grows, and also that I think we should take into consideration that right now it sort of seems like a play, learn, fail mechanism somewheres, while we are also on the other side working with large corporations who is doing sort of the mechanisms of DeFi into their supply chains, preparing what's coming. So I think we should have that in mind also, that we at EY, we believe that the mechanisms of DeFi will become the future of finance. And that's not saying the protocols per se that is out there today that is going to run the whole thing, but the mechanism in terms of that you will have operationalized supply chains that will use the ecosystem of not only a shitcoin ecosystem, but you will have a stable coin which is possibly also issued in a more secure way that we see today, but also have the CBDC, the central bank digital currency element coming into it. And that's what makes it very interesting to see how actors like we work with, everything from Coca-Cola to Peroni to Maersk to Carrefour to whatever that is out there, who is actually preparing what's coming in 3 to 5 years as they see it. And you know, when just like to give the perspective of 2.5 weeks ago in Davos, when the CEO of MasterCard was asked the question on a panel there, do you believe that the SWIFT banking system will be here in 5 years? And his answer was no, not in the way that we see it today. That gives you the perspective that these mechanisms will for sure play a key role of an expanded version of it. So yeah, it's an exciting future. We have some more minutes if there were any further questions. In the back there.
So what is the next step for blockchains to be more decentralized?
Okay, I would say allowing the community to host the validators, because when you open up the validators to the community to host, it makes it basically impossible for a single organization or a single person to take down the network and make changes to it. So that's it.
We had a question here. Yep.
Yeah, my question is for Schnoodle. I know you said it before, but can you explain it one more time again? What's so special about Schnoodle, and why do you believe that you're probably the only real DAO out there?
Yeah, we can talk about offline maybe later a bit more into depth, because I did explain it earlier in more or less full, but it could be hard to understand. I don't know how it was received, but it's to paraphrase it, it uses an ecosystem of smart contracts to automate the entire process from voting through to deployment. So you could write new code of Schnoodle, submit it on the blockchain, put a proposal to upgrade to that new code that you wrote, and then if people vote on it, because of the Oracle and the simple economic game theory mechanism, if people like your code, it will go through. I could have been asleep or at a wedding, for example, whilst this was happening, and I would not know, and I'll come back and say, oh, someone's improved the code. So anyone can change it. That's what makes it a true DAO. No other DAO is like that as far as I know.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to ask. Shouldn't every DAO be like this? And
so there is a risk. You can get 51% attacks. You can get flash loans, where people take a majority holding of the vote. It happened to Beanstalk recently, but the problem they had no cool-off period. We have a cool-off period. It's a 24-hour cool-off. There's 24 hours of voting, 24 hours on the Oracle, and then 24-hour cool-off. During that cool-off period, there is an intervention that can happen. There is multi-sig in place, which I'm part of. I'm one of the multi-sig owners, but I'm not the only multi-sig owner. And we can veto a vote if there's a 51% attack. So that is where it goes back to what I said earlier. There's a parity between the trusted, which is the people at the top of the community, and trustlessness. If it was purely about trustlessness, you could end up with a situation like Beanstalk. So I think every DAO should be like ours, but understand that if they veer from things like cool-off periods and things like multi-sig, then they run the risk of chaos, which will happen in a purely decentralized place. Now, multi-sig, I don't know if Fireblocks is in here. Michael Burke from Fireblocks, no? They approached us. They're a diamond sponsor here, and they do an alternative to multi-sig, and that is also something we're going to look at as well, because multi-sig is a little bit outdated and has its risks, especially if we're all at a European blockchain convention, all the multi-sig owners, and some man in a balaclava comes into our hotel room and tells us to give us all our multi-sig keys. So there's still a risk, in theory. So Fireblocks has another solution. I'm going to be speaking to them. So I've just plugged Fireblocks, and they didn't even pay me.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We are on time, and that's a very good question in terms of take care of the tokenomics, understand that one, and also understand that authorities are looking into it. Like only yesterday, European Commission released a policy paper on DAOs, because they see it that you cannot necessarily get away with 40% yourself. You need to have some transparency, equalization on it. So that's a takeaway. Take into legal elements for sure when you are moving into either DeFi, DAOs. Play, build, grow this landscape, but don't forget also to take care of the smart contract review, and then we will make hopefully a financial ecosystem of the future, which will become of DeFi and also DAOs. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.